Have you ever dreamt of setting a world record or doing that stuff no one else has done to become a world record holder? What would it be? Would you want it to be something next to impossible? Or too dangerous that no one else would even dream of breaking it? Well, it would seem like these people had the same mindset when they set these records. Here are the 10 world records that you can't repeat. Guess what we have at number 1? You don't know? Stay tuned to find out. Number 10. If you ever have gone swimming, you will probably be familiar with the pain that comes with a dive gone wrong. You take a leap from the diving board, glide towards the water below. You realize that the pool is not as deep as you thought it was and brace yourself for a jarring impact as you head the pool in an intestine-warping belly flop. Now you have an idea of what a shallow dive is. Now imagine diving into a pool of water no more than 12 inches deep. Impossible, right? Well, some people have braved the odds and the pain. They have gone on to make headlines and even break records. Chief among these people is Darren Taylor, also known as Professor Splash. Taylor has been moving higher up the ranks among shallow divers and has clinched the highest shallow dive record, which currently stands at 11.56 meters with his September 2014 attempt. Now that means Taylor actually jumped off a platform that is more or less over 3 stories high and splashed down into a pool of water just 30 centimeters deep. Now that is some terrifying stuff right there. Taylor seems to have the hots for risks, as he had also achieved the record for highest shallow dive into a fire on June 21st, 2014, when he jumped from a height of 8 meters into a pool of flames. Before that, he has appeared on US and Japanese TV on several occasions. He came into public attention in 2011 when he reached the semi-finals on America's Got Talent. Taylor has many years of experience with shallow diving. He has been diving from ridiculous heights for 30 years, so this is not something you want to try at home. Number 9. World's largest pizza. On December 13th, 2012, 5 Italian chefs came together to create Ottavia, the world's largest pizza. Now, you may be wondering how big could the pizza possibly be? This team of chefs had a big task ahead of them, and they had to break the record set by a South African supermarket in 1990, which measured 122 feet in diameter. They smashed the records after baking a 130 feet wide margarita. They brought the title back home to its country of origin. Packing about 19,800 pounds of flour and 8,800 pounds of tomato sauce, the colossal pizza weighed in at a mega 3.6 stone. As you can imagine already, cooking the pizza was a bit of a challenge, as the chefs had to bake the dough in 5,234 separate batches over 48 hours. With the aid of specialist equipment, the entire pizza was cooked at varying temperatures from 300 to 500 degrees Celsius. It is also important to note that the flour used was gluten-free. In Duvilio Nardi's words, head of the Quintet of Chefs, we named the pizza Ottavia to symbolize the hope of a great economic and cultural revival. We wanted it to be the symbol of good luck for the recovery of all countries using the iconic pizza, he added. Slices of the enormous Italian delicacy were cut and some were donated to local food shelters in Rome, Italy. Number 8. The heaviest man. It is definitely not a surprise that the heaviest man comes from the US, which as of 2017 to 2018 recorded that 42.45% of adults aged 20 and over were obese. John Brower Minnock was an American man who was also the heaviest human being ever recorded, weighing 635 kilograms. At his thickest, he was frequently referred to as the thickest man in the land. His weight continued to increase until his hospitalization in March 1978 when he was 36 years old. The hospitalization was due to cardiac and respiratory failure. Minnock was diagnosed with massive generalized edema. His endocrinologist, Robert Schwartz, estimated that over 408 kilograms of his overall body mass was fluid. In the midst of all this, he broke the record for the most significant difference in weight between a married couple when he married his 50 kilograms wife Jeanette, with whom he had 2 children. With someone as big as Minnock, it was challenging to move him. It took over 12 firemen and rescue personnel with a specially modified stretcher to transport him to University of Washington Medical Center, Seattle, where he had to be placed on 2 beds pushed together. He was discharged 16 months later after losing 490 kilograms, the second largest human weight loss ever documented. However, he was readmitted to the hospital just over a year later in October 1981. With his underlying condition of edema being incurable and difficult to treat, treatment had to be stopped. He died 23 months later on September 10, 1983, at the age of 41. Such a sad story, but I guess you can see why nobody wants to break this record. Number 7. Longest time spent on a gurney. Guinness created a new category when Tony Collins, a 40-year-old Brit, reported that he had lain on a gurney for 77 hours and 30 minutes. Collins was a diabetic and caught a virus that sent him to Princess Margaret Hospital at Swindon, England, on Saturday, February the 24th, 2001. When he was told he would have waited for a bed, he didn't expect he would have to wait 4 days in the hallway. He was put on a gurney in the hallway, parked outside the bathroom at 3 o'clock. They finally found a room for him at 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday. Ironically, while Guinness was investigating Collins' claims, he again fell ill and returned to Princess Margaret. This time, he was left on a gurney for 60 hours. As for his record, he said, "Unfortunately, it will probably be the sort of record that gets broken every day in the NHS." He was referring to the National Health Service, Britain's government-run, publicly funded healthcare system. Collins' prediction came true in March 2013. 62-year-old Herbert Edwards was admitted for a suspected heart attack to Great Western Hospital, also in Swindon. He waited for a room on a gurney for 6 days, a total of 144 hours. However, he will not break Collins' record because he was kept in a designated area instead of a hallway. In that same hospital, 41-year-old June Rogers waited 157 hours for a bed, 88 of them on a gurney. She will not break Collins' record either because her hours on a gurney were not consecutive. Number 6. Most jelly eaten with chopsticks in 1 minute. This sounds pretty simple. It's just jelly after all. The rules might also sound simple, but when you get down to it, it's definitely not a simple feat. All you have to do is eat jelly, as much as you can in 1 minute. The catch is here, you're using chopsticks. Not your fingers, not a spoon, but chopsticks. Huh. Not so simple, right? Any jelly flavor can be used, but only one hand can be used. The other must be behind your back. Any takers? The record for the most jelly eaten with chopsticks in 1 minute is held by a German man named André Otolf. He ate 760 grams of jelly. Now that's a little over 7 full boxes of jelly. You should also know that André tried to record a couple of times until he broke it. Would you be interested in trying to break this record? Let us know in the comments. Number 5. Largest human mattress dominoes. The domino effect has been seen a lot of times, so I take it you understand what it is. So you may be wondering what a human mattress domino is. Well, as opposed to a human domino where people just fall onto one another in succession, the human mattress dominoes relies on people holding up bed mattresses. In this world attempt, 1,200 employees of Aaron's Incorporation, a lease-to-own furniture retailer, crabbed onto mattresses, set up over 70,000 square feet of space in 2 exhibit halls at National Harbor, Maryland, USA. They all fell in a domino effect to take the Guinness World Record from former holders Hofner, the German company that set the record in 2012 with 1,150 participants. The record was broken in a little over 13 minutes. A domino expert was also invited to supervise 34 rows of mattresses manufactured by Aaron's Woodhaven Industries. John Robinson, Aaron's CEO, did the honor of pushing over the first mattress. The mattress used in the attempt were donated to charitable organizations in the greater Washington, D.C. area. Number 4. Longest freefall from space. In 2012, Austrian Felix Baumgartner, supersonic skydiver, set 5 world records. The aerospace pioneer, aided by the Red Bull Stratus team, tested mankind's physical limits when he became the first person to break the sound barrier in freefall. The 43-year-old also set new records for the highest freefall parachute jump, the highest vertical speed in freefall, and the greatest freefall distance. More than 8 million people tuned in online to watch the feat, also setting a new record for the most concurrent views of a live stream on YouTube. The attempt saw Felix jump from a capsule taken to the center of the stratosphere above New Mexico by a giant helium balloon. The adventurer descended to Earth with an attributed speed of 133.9 miles per hour. It took 9 minutes for him to reach the ground. Guinness World Records officials were on the ground at the attempt site in Roswell, with Felix presented with the Guinness World Records certificate to mark his achievement following his safe return to work. No one is breaking this record anytime soon. Number 3. Most wins at the world's Beard and Mustache Championship. With the beard craze that has swept the world with men wearing facial hair and tending to it carefully, it is only normal that we reciprocate with some love for beards and mustaches. The World Beard and Mustache Championship is where competitors from all over the world come to show off their facial hair. There are multiple categories where people compete in categories that best suit their beard or mustache. One contestant stands high above the others with the most wins at the event. Karl-Heinz Hiller, a German, has enjoyed 8 wins from 1999 to 2011. Hiller has been competing in the Imperial Partial Beard category. For 8 years, his beard really stood out the most. His most recent success was in Trondheim, Norway in 2011. We don't see anyone beating that record anytime soon. If you think you could, let us know in the comments. And just so you know, anyone interested in the beard competition can do so naturally at the Beard and Mustache National Championship, sponsored by Just for Men. Number 2. Man covered by the most bees. To create the ultimate bee beard, Ruan Liangming from China covered his entire body in bees. He successfully set a record for the heaviest mantle of bees, which weighed 63.7 kilograms and consisted of approximately 637,000 individual bees, including 60 queen bees. After plugging every opening in his body with a cork to prevent bees from entering his insides, Ruan welcomed the bees to land on his body. The attempt took place in Fangxiang County, Jizhen City, Jiangxi Province in China, and witnessed by a Guinness certification officer from a safe distance. Luckily for him, Ruan emerged unscathed and unharmed from his record-setting endeavor. However, we are quite sure that those bees will definitely visit his dreams every night. Number 1. Most prolific parents. At the number 1 spot of world records you cannot repeat, we have one of the world's weirdest and craziest records. It is held by Fyodor Vasilyev, an 18th century peasant from Shuya, Russia. Between Fyodor and his 2 wives, he had 22 sets of twins, 9 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets, making a total of 87 children born to one man. Fyodor was born around 1707 and started having children at the age of 18. 40 years later, at the age of 58, Fyodor reportedly disclosed that all but 2 of his children survived. Now, that is a remarkable number, especially at that time where child mortality cases were predominant. He was later interviewed when he was 75 and 84 of his kids were still living at the time. This was such an impressive feat that he was sent to St. Petersburg to see Empress Catherine II. Fyodor's first wife, whose name remains unknown, is reportedly the most prolific mother. With 27 pregnancies and 69 births, that must have been one very strong woman, and it is widely believed that she lived to 76 years of age. Looking at this from a scientific angle, Mrs. Vasilyev probably had a genetic predisposition to hyper-overload, which would increase the chances of having twins or multiple children. And there you have it, the 10 world records that you can't repeat. Which of these records would you be able to beat? Let us know in the comments. To get more content like this, hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.